You're watching Make WordPress Work with Lisa Butler of Elembee.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to use FTP with WordPress. In this video, we're going to go over what is FTP, how to access your site via FTP, how to reset maintenance mode, how to troubleshoot plugins, and how to update theme files. Let's get started. First of all, what is FTP? FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. If you think of your website as a house, when you buy new furniture for your house, it arrives on a delivery truck. Somebody has to take it from the store and deliver it to your home. The same concept applies here. When you update your website, you want to move the files from your computer to your website on the server. So FTP is the delivery truck for your site. So how do you access your site via FTP? Well, you're going to need two things to get started. First, we're going to download FileZilla, and then you're going to need your web hosting login so you can get your FTP details. So first, we're going to download FileZilla. If you go to filezilla-project.org, you will download the FileZilla client, not the server. The client is what's going to help you transfer files from your computer to your web server. Second, you're going to go over to your web hosting login. Here I'm showing Bluehost. And so if you scroll down on Bluehost and to the left, first you'll have your main name, and that's going to be your FTP address. And then you have a username underneath that, and that's going to be the username you use for FTP. With Bluehost and with a lot of web hosts, your password is going to be the same one that you use to log in to your web hosting account. Some web hosts like GoDaddy, you have to create an FTP user, and they have specific requirements for username and password. So you might have to look in your cPanel for an area called Files or FTP. Here in Bluehost, it's called Files. And you have your FTP manager. So when you go to FTP manager, it's going to give you access to add any accounts that you need to add. So if you want a more secure login or password, or if you need to create one for your developer, this is where you would do that. So go ahead and write down your FTP details so that you can put them into FileZilla. Remember, you're going to need your FTP address, which is usually your domain name, your username, and your password. So here I've opened up FileZilla, and what you'll see here on the left are the files on your computer. On the right is what's going to show your files from your website. If you look up at the top, you've got host, username, and password, and you can ignore the port number. So your host is going to be your FTP address. In my case, that's blogkeeping.com. And then the username that you found in your cPanel. And then your password. So I just hit enter for Quick Connect, and this shows on the right all of the files on my server. Now, depending on your web host, you're going to see different things here. GoDaddy, for example, will log you straight into the public HTML directory, while Bluehost does not. So public HTML, or it might just be called HTML, that directory is going to have all the files of your website. So if we open that up, I have a bit more directories than what would be typical. You're not going to have these specific named directories, but underneath where you have WP-admin, WP content, WP includes, those are going to be the files that you see on your website, and they're all related to WordPress. So now that we're logged into FTP, I'm going to show you a few different things that you can do with it to maintain your website. First of all, if you've ever run updates for your website, the plugin updates, sometimes that gets hung up and you may just see this website down for maintenance, please check back later. And sometimes it'll get stuck there. To fix that, all you need to do is log into your site through FTP. And where you see this .htaccess file and the 400.shtml file, you're going to have those files on your server as well. And there's also going to be a file near those called .maintenance. So if you delete that file, that's going to take your site out of maintenance mode and you can start the update process again. The second thing that you might use FTP for is to troubleshoot your plugins. So let's say something's not working right on your website. Maybe you got the white screen of death, or you're getting some kind of error message and you can't figure out where it's coming from. The first place that you're going to want to look is your plugins. So to do that, we're going to go in the WP content directory. Then we're going to go into plugins. Now, the easiest thing to do is actually to go back up to just plugins and rename your plugins directory and just add a -old after it. And that's going to disable all of your plugins on your website. And if that restores your website, then you know that the problem is with your plugins. So all you have to do is just hit -old, and that renames your plugins directory. Then if you find out that it is indeed your plugins, you can go ahead and delete that -old, and it's going to restore all of your plugins. So if you know that it's a plugin, then we're going to go into the plugins directory. We're going to rename all of these -old after them. And in this case, I only have a few plugins, but you're going to want to do this for every single plugin that you've got installed. Once you've done that, you can reload your site. It should be working again since all of your plugins are disabled. Then you can go back and one by one remove this -old. That's going to reactivate the plugin, and you can reload your site, see if it's working. And if it's still working, then you know that that's not the plugin causing the issue. And as soon as you reactivate a plugin and your website stops working, you know that's the plugin that's causing the issue, and you can remove that plugin by deleting the directory. The last thing that we're going to do is edit theme files using FTP. So in the same folder as your plugins, you've got this themes directory, and that's going to show you all the themes on your website. So if you want to update a file, let's say you want to make some CSS changes, then you want to go over to the left and make sure that that's where you want the file to download. In my case, I've got it set to download to my desktop. And then I'm going to go over to my theme, open that folder, and then I'm going to download the style sheet so I can make some CSS changes. So you click on it, right click, and then download the file. And now you see that it's shown up on my desktop. If I minimize FileZilla, you'll see my file is right here on my desktop. So then I can open up the file, make my changes, save them on my desktop. And then when I go back to FileZilla, I can click on the left where my file is on my computer, right click on it and upload it. And it's going to ask if I want to replace the file that's on my server. I say yes, and it'll upload the new file to my website. This is the safest way to make changes to your website, because if you mess something up, you can easily upload the old file and everything will be fixed again. This can help with the white screen of death. So if you've ever messed around with your site from the editor within WordPress and you've removed a piece of PHP code, sometimes that can make the white screen of death show, and then you have no way of accessing your admin area to fix it. So by editing your site via FTP, you always have access to your site. Thanks for watching. Visit elembee.com for more tips and tricks for using WordPress.